Welcome back to the All Things Basketball podcast. I'm your host, Vic Lopez, as always, and team number 3 for the off-season optimism video series is obviously the Phoenix Suns. Let's get right into it. So my takeaway from so far, those Phoenix Suns off-season moves, swinging for the fences and optionality. One of, if not the most aggressive team this offseason so far has probably been the Phoenix Suns, a team with high hopes after a mid-season KD trade that instantly shifted the title favorite odds across the board and went 8-0 in the regular season with KD in the lineup. Fast forward to the conference semis, where they met their demise against the eventual champion Denver Nuggets, and it was clear that this team was in serious need of help from the quote-unquote others. Depth was a serious issue for the Phoenix Suns, along with the lack of three-point shooting. Literally having historically efficient performances from Devin Booker and KD, along with some oddly inefficient games from KD along the way, in a 2s versus 3s battle that the Denver Nuggets had a good time taking advantage of, Mat Ishbia immediately went to work with a well-known, massive Chris Paul 3-team trade that I'm just going to show in this screenshot because I refuse to read all that. So in comes Bradley Beal, someone we've seen put up buckets for way too long on wasted years in Washington. He has an interesting reputation of being an elite shooter, which I want to go on record here and inform you that that narrative has to take a little bit of a back seat. I will say this though, it is hard to be the number one option on a bad team with awful spacing and be able to maintain a good three-point percentage. So being alongside Book and KD is definitely going to get him some much easier looks, and he could probably see his three-point percentage rise this season as a result of that. Free throw line and in, there's no question about Bradley Beal's ability. He can create for himself with the best of them. He can get to the rim, he makes his free throws. He's been a bucket his entire career, as both the number 2 option when John Wall was the man on the team, and as the number 1 option. So sliding him over to the 3rd option behind Booker and KD means trouble for opposing defenses to pick their poison. I was fascinated by the fact that they were able to bring in Bradley Beal while also being able to keep DeAndre Ayton, who I'm not a big fan of for many reasons, but with a move like this, he will definitely be needed moving forward to help with rebounding and anchoring a defense that didn't necessarily get better with Beal in the mix. I want to quickly go through some guys that were brought back for some continuity. They brought back Damian Lee and Josh Okogie, guys that already have some chemistry in that short time playing alongside KD, Booker, and Ayton, which is always important. And here's where things get a little more interesting in terms of low-key good signings, in my opinion. Eric Gordon, a more than solid veteran at guard. He's played a ton of important basketball in his career. Bit of a streaky shooter, but he's gonna help space the floor. He's one of those guys that's going to be productive on or off the ball, which is super valuable for their new coach, Frank Vogel, to mix up his lineups with. He can still get to the rim, which is always a good plus, and just all in all, great pickup for the Suns. Next on the list of sleeper moves is Drew Eubanks. Not a household name. He will no doubt be filling that Jacques Landale backup slot, right? Now that Landale's no longer on this team. Eubanks showed some really good flashes for the Portland Trail Blazers last season. He's a forward/center, not afraid to put the ball down and attack the rim. He's got good footwork. He's been working on that 3-ball, which is still a work in progress, but I really like his form, like you can see on these clips. It looks pretty damn good. Sneaky good pickup for big man depth that the Suns definitely need. Another sneaky good pickup a lot of people made some noise over was Yuta Watanabe, the rising sniper as one of the league's best three-point shooters as far as percentage last year. Hyper elite, 44.4% from 3 with the size to go with it at 6'9". Now being alongside Booker, Durant, and Bradley Beal in potential lineups, there's no doubt he's going to be getting some seriously good looks that the Suns will hope to continue seeing Yuta knock down. Incredible fit, awesome pickup for spacing and size purposes, not having to give up one or the other if you have Yuta in your lineups. Next name on this list is one I'm sure that many people aren't familiar with. It's Keita Bates-Diop, or his nickname, KBD. 27-year-old that's been in the league for 5 seasons now, a guy that came into the NBA with no true identity In terms of how head coaches could quickly decide to utilize him, his lack of shooting ability was always a question. He's not crazy athletic either, and he's what they call a tweener, right? He's like a 3/4 man with no specialization on a particular skill set. However, he does play hard, which the Suns will appreciate if they do use him. And on the bright side, last season, he shot his highest three-point percentage at an awesome 39%, taking only about 2 threes a game, but still a good accomplishment. And he was able to record 50% from the field, along with also his highest scoring average at 9.7 points per game for the Spurs, so last year was definitely his best season. He's an interesting type of forward that the Suns could experiment in different lineups with, right? Lots of sizable players were targeted by the Suns, and here's another one that's not a household name, but certainly adds some athleticism and length at 6'9", and that's Chimezie Metu. In 5 seasons with the Kings, he saw his minutes go up and down. Not going to bring spacing to the Suns, but what he could potentially bring to the table is obviously his athleticism and potential for multiple lineup experiments. He's another guy that's going to play hard whenever he is utilized, which is useful, but we'll see if he actually gets serious playing time on this team. Lastly on this list, I don't want to leave out because of some interesting flashes in Summer League, and that was their 52nd pick of this year's draft, Toumani Camara. Not gonna lie to you guys, I am not gonna tell you I know his game, but seeing him put up a 20-point game in his Vegas debut in Summer League is certainly a good sign for the Suns fans looking for any kind of additional help, especially if it can come from a 52nd pick in the draft, right? Summary for the Suns, they were able to keep some of their core supporting players, Josh Okogie, Damian Lee, and Saben Lee. They added another go-to late game scoring option in Bradley Beal. They added 3-point shooting without giving up size in Yuta Watanabe. They added center depth with the potential for spacing in Drew Eubanks. They added serviceable veteran experience in Eric Gordon, who's going to definitely help in any type of lineup you're trying to run out there. And they added multiple forward defensive options. The questions that remain: is the depth and supporting cast for the Suns enough to get the job done? There's a lot of experimental forwards on this team that haven't truly panned out, so will the Suns get the most out of them? Bradley Beal has a no-trade clause, so unless he allows a future trade, if things aren't working out, they're going to have to look elsewhere to make some moves, and this is one fat payroll. Also, KD's health is another question that's always going to be lingering around these days. And my last big question about this team that was the same question last season, and now it's probably an even bigger question: will DeAndre Ayton be happy as probably having to move another slot down in the pecking order now that Bradley Beal's on the team? Only time will tell. This is the All Things Basketball podcast. I'm your host, Vic Lopez, as always, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.